should you go to college? Whether you are young or old, the decision to go to college is a huge one. I already did a video on whether you should go to college or not. The answer is probably yes, particularly in America. And in Europe, it's free, right? But in America, you have to weigh the cost, benefit, and all of that. But there's really 5 reasons to go to college. And the truth is, if you can accomplish those things, if you can do those things that you get from college in other ways, and I'm going to share a couple stories of people who have done this, then I don't think college is as required. And I'm not the only one saying that. There are a lot of people who, not just old people, but young people who are now saying, I don't need to go into massive debt in order to accomplish those 5 things. So what are those 5 things? We are going to do HTML and CSS, yes. So what are the 5 things? The first thing is, obviously, people go to college to get a job. Now, that doesn't necessarily, that's not usually the first reason to go to college that people go. They don't even think of that. And usually they'll pick a major like psychology, which I actually helped someone actually get a job after they got a major in psychology because they couldn't get work. I'm not bagging on psychologists. I'm just saying that if you want a job, you got to get a degree that's going to get you a job. I have a Russian degree. I actually had a job in Russia, but my wife told me she didn't want to be in Russia anymore. So I had to re-skill, and I had to use a bunch of the things that I learned on my own in the computer lab as a linguist in the linguistics computer lab, and also by building out my own home lab without going to college at all and continuing to go to college. So the number one reason is to get a job, right? Now, you can definitely qualify, you can learn the skills to get a job without going to college. In fact, I made a whole video about why computer science might not be the right choice for you. Computer science is definitely the right choice for certain professions, but not the ones you think. If you want to work for a Silicon Valley or any company that's doing tech things, that's going to pay you a tech salary, you're probably not going to want a computer science degree, honestly. You're probably going to want the skills that you would get shooting to get a certification like a Red Hat certification or one of these others. Now, there's another video of me drinking while talking about the Red Hat certification because I really hate that the system and CompTIA and all of the certs that are out there that you can get to supplement your college. Some of them are cheaper than that. They're also not necessary to get a job. And so another story, some time ago, I believe it was in 2013, IBM made a very public statement about that they don't require anybody to have a college degree. And they made a big deal of it, and they showcased a few people, one of whom got a security job for IBM at 18 without having anything. They had a lot of knowledge. I think that person may have actually had a security certificate of some kind. But the point that IBM was making, and many other big companies did around 2013, 2014, that was a long time ago, was that you didn't need college. And there's been overwhelming evidence that that you still need to go to college to get a job, which brings us to the second point, right? So IBM created a system called K through 16, which was this educational system that took you all the way through the first couple years of college, and then you just would go through that, and then you would and I don't even know where that landed. I don't know if they're still doing it. But the second main reason to go to college is to get a job. I mean, it's to actually make more money at your job, and that is statistically borne out by the science. I'm going to refer to Adam Ruins College. Please go watch the video about this. It talks about, yes, at every stage in their careers, people that went to college made 30% more in America, and generally, enjoyed better opportunities because they went to college. I hate reporting that statistic. I hate it because it shouldn't make any difference. If you have the skill, you should be paid for that skill. The end. And so that's the second reason, to make more money, to get a job and to make more money, right? Those are not the first 2 reasons that people cite to go to college. Most of them, they cite it, well, they want the third one, which is to find yourself, to discover what it is you want to be, to smell the roses and figure out what it means to be a thinker, to take philosophy classes, to get high or get drunk and figure things out, or to write poetry, or to do whatever. People use college as an opportunity of self-discovery, and it's very expensive to do that. To go to college, to pay $3,000, $4,000 a semester to find yourself, it's an extremely expensive way to do that. Take a gap year. In fact, some colleges that are more responsible than others have gone so far as to say, you can take a gap year and we will pay you a scholarship, for you to take a gap year before college even starts, so you can figure it out what you want to be, who you are, what you believe. People, there's huge debate in the larger culture world about the value of a college education, particularly now in 2024 when there's like all kinds of radical things happening on college campuses, because college campuses have traditionally been the places where progress happens. That's where people are testing the boundaries. They're testing their personal boundaries, they're testing their societal boundaries, and they're discovering things. And some people would cite that that's the number one reason to go to college, that's why we have to have colleges. We have to have places where people can go and think and not care. Not care about the bill that they're going to get, or the fact that they might lose their job. Tenured professorships is one of the worst things that ever happened in the world, because these people don't have to worry about accountability at all, because they have a job no matter what. When is that ever a good idea? I mean, I don't think that's a good idea. Anyway, so finding yourself, who you want to be, what is your career going to be, what are you going to do with your life, that is the third reason. That's usually one of the main reasons that people go. And along with that, who are you going to meet along the way? And this includes your potential, life partner, if you're particularly Mormon. If you're Mormon, there was a running joke saying if you're a Mormon, you're going to go to college because that's where you're going to meet your spouse, right? And so women who are not encouraged to get education they would go there to find a husband. They'd find their husband, they'd drop out of school, and then they'd go back later in life. It was absolutely abysmally bad. It's a horrible thing because education for women is kind of downplayed. They've since kind of come around on that. But the point is, connections, right? You're going to college to create connections. Some of those connections are going to be lifelong friendships. Some of them are going to be potential job opportunities. Some of them are, professors, right? Some of the friendships that I have made with professors while I was in college have gone on to be some of the most valuable things in my entire life. And I cannot say it any other way. And some of the people that I met in college, same sort of thing. Of course, I met my wife in college. So the people that you meet in college are going to be some of the most important people you're ever going to meet. Again, it's a very expensive way to meet people. And I'm going to come back to that point by telling some stories about alternative ways to do these different things. And the fifth thing is to learn how to do your laundry. To put it bluntly, you've got to learn how to adult. You've got to be a grown-up. You've got to take care of your laundry. Whether you decide to live in your car or an apartment or whatever, you've got to learn to do your dishes, whether it's you only have one fork, one knife, and one spoon so that you never have dishes pile up like I had to do, because otherwise nobody would ever do the dishes. You've got to learn to get along with people that you're roommates with. You have to be a grown-up. You have to learn how to manage your life. You got to do your finances. You have to understand what it means to buy something, to buy your first computer on credit, so that you can build your credit in America, so that you can survive in America, because you have to have credit. There's a professor, a good friend of ours, who went her whole life without buying anything on credit, and she can't do anything. She almost couldn't get a mortgage because she was so responsible with her money the whole time, because she's not playing by the capitalist system. I don't care if you like it or not. I hate it. That's just those are the rules of the game. So knowing the rules is half the battle. So let's talk about some alternatives to doing those 5 things. So to conclude, primarily before we go out to the next part, it's really important that you say to yourself, okay, college has become the most convenient for many people. Albeit expensive, college is the most convenient way to do all 5 of those things, right? They've got a dorm set up for you to help you learn how to adult. They've got resident assistants to help you know where to go get your vaccinations when you need it. They got all kinds of weird things. College campuses, since the dawn of college campuses, have been set up to meet the needs of those 5 things. And it's extremely convenient for most people. It's also very, very expensive. But why would knowing about those 5 things on their own be relevant? Okay, so let's give you a couple examples. One of them is getting the skills to get a job, and getting more money to get a job, getting the credentials that are going to get you money to get the job, and maybe meeting people that would get you a job, right? Let's talk about those 3 things. There's other videos on this, but let's say I'll do another video on online universities, right? But when you talk about a college experience, the general college experience, I went to football games, I had all the thing, is that it's the opposite of an online degree. If you go get an online degree from an accredited institution like WGU, and there's a separate video on that, then you are not having many of those 5 experiences, right? But you're spending a lot less money. So one of the ways to do the first 3, the make more money and get a skill, job skills, and meet people who are going to get you a job, is to go to an online university or which is way, way, way cheaper, or focus on getting credentials or doing whatever else it takes to establish trust that you can do the job. Those are things you can do on your own. If you took the cost, this is a true story. So my son went to a community college computer science 101 course, and there's 85 people in the room or something, and they asked him to raise his hand, and they said, does anybody here have any programming experience? And he raised his hand because he had already completely learned how to code in Python and Go. He'd made several applications in Go on the back end, and in actually JavaScript as well. So I mean, he knew how to code. He had proven he had built online interactive WebSockets based games with all of the components of programming in that realm. So he had a lot of the fundamentals of programming that were taught in CS 101, he had a lot of them. And then he raised his hand. He was the only kid in the class who raised his hand. He went up and talked to his professor at the end and said, is there any way I can test out of this class? And they said, no, I'm sorry. So he paid $2,000 for a course that covered material he already had. I have another story about this. Gabe, if Gabe out there, Gabe taught himself assembly when he was 16. He ordered his own circuit boards that arrived via DHL from China that he designed on SolidWorks himself while he was with me, while he was doing Beginner Boost stuff. He literally had his pick of colleges, and when he went to his first college, he had to take CS whatever to learn computer engineering, and he ended up teaching the assembly class. He paid $2,000 for the privilege of being the unpaid TA for that course. And then he immediately became the TA. He applied to be the TA, and he became the TA next. He became the TA for the course, and now he's teaching all the play. He was in the class. He knew everything. He knew everything in the course, and he was totally frustrated, but he's like, whatever. He paid all this money because the system wasn't set up to let him say, oh, I already know this, right? So there's a couple of takeaways from that. The first one is you can learn any skill that's taught in college. You can learn any skill that will get you. In fact, some skills they won't teach in college, many. MIT very famously has a thing called the Lost Semester, where they teach you how to use desktop Linux, among other things, because it's not included as a part of the curriculum because it's not serious enough. You know, it's totally stupid. And the point is that you can learn those skills other ways. You can make more relationships with other people in other ways, and you can do it for on the cheap way better. So WGU is another one of these universities where you can learn all those things. Now, WGU is going to leave you hanging on the other 2 things. You're not going to meet as many people through WGU, bottom line, just not happening. It's not going to be as society. Probably not going to meet your spouse at WGU, right? You might make a business contact or 2, but probably not. So that means you're going to need to actively go out to meetups and do the things that you have to do throughout your career anyway. Might as well get started before college. In fact, one of the biggest complaints I have about college is that because it so conveniently covers all 5 of those things, when people leave college, they don't know how to do those things outside of college. But if you focus on preparing relationships at local meetups, knowing what conferences to go to, knowing who to hang out with, building a group of professional peers and friends, building a professional learning network, if you're doing those things, which you should be doing already, then you've already learned the skill, and now you're just using the same skill, and you haven't had to pay any money to college to learn it. You haven't become dependent on the college to cover them. And the colleges have an entire ecosystem of dependency because they keep pumping in the whole alumni thing. Give us more money. Come back as an alum. Help other people who go to this college because you like our college better than all the other colleges, right? No. I think it's a mistake for many people. So those are the 5 things. So if you go to WGU, how are you going to meet those other 2 needs? Learning how to do your own laundry, and what was the other one? Making more money throughout your career. Meeting other people, I think. The learning how to adult is the thing. The best way to do that, and I'm going to share a story here. The best way to learn how to adult and to meet other people and discover yourself, discover who you want to be. So I have a story. I have a story from somebody that is indirect that I read some time ago. It was about a woman who went to college. She went to Harvard. She graduated in Harvard, and I don't remember her degree. And she wrote an article, I believe it's on Medium, that said everything. The most important things I learned, I didn't learn from college, and it's pretty much the summary of it is she went Europacking. She went, backpacking in Europe, and living on the total cheap. And she just recounts all of the really life-changing experiences that happened to her while she was just walking around Europe, meeting different people, staying in hostels, getting to know, you know, others, and also thinking about what she wanted to be, who she was going to be, what she was going to do with her life, and a lot of time to think and stuff. Some people do Appalachian trails. Some people live out of their car and travel across the country. There are lots of opportunities to discover yourself that do not have college. In fact, I would suggest that college is probably one of the worst places for you to discover yourself. It's a great place to be exposed to new ideas that you might not have been exposed to because you didn't know about that book, or you didn't know who Joseph Campbell was, or you didn't know. I mean, there's a million things that you may not have known. But if you learn early, maybe after watching this video, that you can build yourself an autodidactic learning plan that includes reading and learning about the things that constitute the bulk of self-discovery at college, you can do it. You can make your own self-discovery course or your own thing. And it can include interactions with others. It can include traveling the world. And it's going to be way, way, way cheaper than a study abroad. Story about that. When I did study abroad, I was like, I don't have the money. I was working three jobs to get myself through college. And this was in the 90s. I don't know how people go to college now, right? And I was working 3 jobs. I was like, I don't have money to pay $4,000 to go on a Russian study abroad. So you know what I did? I was like, let me see if I can find a job. So I found a job. I found and got a job being an American, being a Russian cruise translator, which I later kept growing that job. Got a lot of experience in Russia. Was one of the most proficient Russian speakers in my entire Russian department because I was making money working in Russia, and I didn't have to do a study abroad for that. So I got paid to go to Russia. They paid to go to Russia. You know what a lot of those people who did study abroad did? They would go to Russia, and because usually they weren't paying themselves, by the way. There was somebody else who was paying. They would go to Russia. They would go with their American roommate. They would travel around. They'd speak English the whole time. They wouldn't learn anything. So they would be $4,000 lighter. They come back. They didn't have any Russian skill, and they had no other experiences to speak of. Meanwhile, I came back, and I had a lot of real solid experience teaching people English, teaching them business skills, and learning how to do the whole thing in general. So the point of it is if you're gonna be able to do this long term, you need to really have a plan, and that plan should include self-discovery at a regular time. You don't need college for that, and whatever techniques you learn to find yourself, whether it's yoga or going on a bike trip, you should be doing that anyway. Right? You should be learning those skills anyway. So you don't necessarily have to go to college for that. Even if you do go to college, figure out what that is. I don't need a field trip in my Russian honors class to show me Arches National Park so that I can basically get Mormon stoned and recite poetry under an arch in southern Utah. I can do that all on my own. I don't need to pay money for that. Right? So that's what I would suggest. And hopefully that's been a summary of whether you should go to college or not, and what are some of the things. If you're really trying, this is a really tough decision, and the decision about whether to go to college or not is fundamentally colored by those 5 things. Go ahead and review those for yourself, and let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. That's just my idea that I've had with others as we've talked about whether they should go or not. And I do think that most people should get a college degree, and I'll do another video on that about how to get the college degree as cheap as possible, if that works for you and your career plan. And you should have that plan before you even think about going to college. I know it's crazy. Can you imagine actually knowing what you want to be in life before you go to college? It can be done. I've seen it.